James and the Giant Peach is a part live-action, part animated children's movie from Disney that was made in 1996 and was directed by Henry Selick, who previously directed A Nightmare Before Christmas, and was produced by Tim Burton and Denise D. Denovi. It was also based off of Ronaldo's popular children's book of the same name. Before I get into what I like and dislike about this movie, I will give you a brief summary on this film. In this film, a young boy named James Henry Trotter once lived with his beloved parents, and he and his parents were planning on traveling to New York City to see the Empire State Building someday. One day, however, an angry rhinoceros ate up James's parents, and James is forced to live with his cruel aunt, Aunt Spiker, and Aunt Sponge, where he works endlessly from dawn until dusk. One day, a strange man comes to James and gives him a pack of crocodile toys, and he tells James that they are magic and they will make James's true dreams come true. Unfortunately, James drops the crocodile tongues in the ground, and that is when he and his aunt see a small peach grow to the size of a house, and the aunts immediately make a profit out of the peach. One night, though, James goes to the peach, and once he climbs inside the peach, he discovers a group of bugs that turn out to be twice his size. Now, James and his newfound friends trying to find their way to New York City while avoiding obstacles in their way. That's pretty much the gist of this movie, and the book as a whole. Some things I liked about this movie were that it was extremely unique and creative. Most of the plot lines in this film are something that you would never even think of, such as traveling in a giant peach and meeting up with giant bugs. Don't know if I want to meet up with giant bugs in real life, but it works in this film. I also love the fact that this movie remained consistent with the book, to the point of repeating various dialogues from the characters in the book onto the screen. The character development was excellent in this film, as I find myself sympathizing with James's predicament of having to live with his aunt, who practically abused him throughout the film, and I also love the character development of the bugs, especially of Miss Spider, who is shown to be somewhat of a loner due to her nature of eating other bugs. And I love the close relationship that she establishes with James after James rescues her from his aunt. I also love the way that Miss Spider's voice actress, Susan Sarandon, produces a smooth French accent for Miss Spider, as it made her character much more believable and interesting to look at. I personally love looking at films that have characters from different cultures, and it was interesting that Miss Spider was French in this film, even though we don't know much about her French background, since the movie never really focused on it. But it was enjoyable to watch anyway. Another bug character that I really took a liking to was the Centipede, who was voiced by Richard Dreyfuss. I love the personality of the Centipede, as he is shown to be brash yet willing to help anyone out of their predicament, and that really made me connect more with his character, as he has his flaws, but he always tries to make up for them in the end. What was so unusual yet interesting about this film was that it paid homage to Henry Slick's previous works, such as the underwater sequence where James and the bugs meet up with skeleton pirates, and one of the pirates strongly resembles Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, here are some things that either confused or irked me about this movie. And the first thing I wanted to discuss was the various plot holes in this film. For example, in the scene where James and the bugs meet up with a giant shark, why is the shark mechanical? In the book, James and the bugs were attacked by real life sharks, so in a way that would make more sense to me, since there would normally be real life sharks in the ocean. But a mechanical shark? If there is a mechanical shark, someone must have made the shark, and I would like to know who made the shark and what's it doing in the middle of the ocean. Another scene that got me was the scene near the end of the film where James is on somehow arrive in New York City, and their car is filled with water. Alright, I'm assuming that scene is missing because how can the odds possibly get from Europe to New York through the ocean? Wouldn't they have died if they had driven through the ocean, since the car would have sunk? And yet another scene that puzzled me was the cloud rhino scene. They mentioned that James's parents were eaten by an angry rhinoceros, and though the idea of a rhinoceros eating humans is odd, a cloud rhino is even odder. Maybe I'm missing something here, but maybe the clown rhino was meant to be some sort of manifestation that James has, as it shows his fears of the rhino. I know this is an animated fantasy film and things are meant to be exaggerated, but these plot holes sort of got me throughout this film, and I was trying to figure out how these things happen and what they have to bring to the film. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the beginning of the film, as it started out sort of slow and was too dreary for my taste. Also, the beginning is in live action, which I don't have a problem with live action movies in general, but it sort of clashed with the movie's anime segments, as the live action segments are always dreary and the anime segments are always colorful. Maybe if this particular movie was fully animated, some of the plots in this movie would have made more sense to me, or at least it would have fitted the same universe instead of feeling like it's two separate universes. The film felt a bit confusing at times because I can't tell which universe the majority of the movie was trying to set in, and the sequence where James transforms to his anime self made the film even more confusing. Why couldn't the creators just let James stay in his live action form throughout the film and still coexist in the anime world? Something that's similar to Bob Hoskins' character Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when he had to go to Toontown, but he was still in his live action form doing that scene. The third and final thing I want to talk about is the audience that this movie was trying to aim for. Now, this is probably not really a big deal, but it was a little difficult for me to tell who this movie was aimed at. For one thing, this is an animated musical, so Disney fans might want to check out this movie for that reason. However, at the same time, Tim Burton produced the film, so there is some dark content in this film that Tim Burton fans might like. This is probably the reason why the film did moderately well, because either parents didn't know if they should take their children to see this movie since it has some dark content in it, or the Tim Burton fans didn't know they should check this movie out because it's an animated musical. James and the Giant Peach is rated PG for some frightening images, and I think that this rating suits this particular movie, since there are many frightening images littered throughout this movie. But they might as well add in some frightening scenes also, since this movie might be too intense for smaller children. Despite some gripes I have with this movie, I found this movie quite enjoyable to watch, and I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Great work on the character development, and it follows the book to a degree, even though the film could have worked more on the plot. Well, that's my review of James and the Giant Peach, and be sure to watch more of my movie reviews.